Okay, it is Wednesday, May 27th, Chef Brassard, and today we are going to be making a restaurant-style fettuccine Alfredo. Okay, so a couple of things I'm going to start off with. First off is that I have a pot here on the stove with a little mesh strainer. I'm going to show you a trick for that for cooking the pasta afterwards. And I've got it already heated up to save time today. So I'm going to put a good tablespoon's worth of salt in that pan to flavor our pasta, right? That's the primary purpose of putting salt in your pasta water, is to season the pasta as it cooks, right? We want to make sure that this pot gets up to a rapid boil, right? Big bubbles, okay, before we put the pasta in. Never put your pasta in cold water, right? It's going to get really gluey and extra starchy, okay? So we want to make sure of that. So fettuccine Alfredo is really a simple recipe, right? It's cream, cheese, salt, pepper, nutmeg, right? A little bit of butter. So I'm going to start off with 1 cup of heavy cream, right? You want to make sure that it actually says heavy cream on it, okay? Don't use half and half or anything like that, right? This has a higher milk fat, so the heavy cream will thicken up nicely and reduce really well to give us that really nice creamy, thick sauce that we're looking for, okay? So I'm going to take it, I'm going to get that heavy cream, so only 1 cup. So the recipe calls for 1.5 cups. I'm going to do the other 1/2 cup after, right? So I'm going to start off with 1 cup of heavy cream. And you can see how much thicker that is in the glass, right? As we go, okay? That's what you're looking for. We want, this is not a low-fat dish, okay? So I've got that going here. I'm going to let that bubble a little bit and reduce down to about 2/3 of a cup. I just want to lose a little bit of that water from the cream, right? To give me a real nice thick sauce. So the pasta that I'm going to use today is just a fresh pasta, right? You could do a dried pasta. It'll just take a little bit longer to cook and things like that. But the key to this too is to save a little bit of pasta water. That's why I'm going to be using the little strainer, right? So I got my water boiling. Okay. I'm going to come in and grab my fresh pasta package so you guys can see it, right? So a nice fresh pasta. You can make your own pasta if you're really ambitious, but this is just a nice thick fettuccine. And we're going with the thick fettuccine noodle because it'll really coat well with that sauce, right, with the Alfredo. You can do a penne, you could do a linguine, things like that, but you want something with enough surface area to get that sauce to stick to it, right? So I'm going to take the pasta now and I'm going to put it right into my little strainer basket, okay? You want to have a pair of tongs handy too for this, right? Now this pasta is only going to take a couple of minutes to cook, right? 2 to 3 minutes once it's boiling, but that's why you want to make sure that the water is boiling first, right? So while we've got the pasta cooking, I've got my cream heating up to reduce down. And I said I'm going to need another 1/2 cup of heavy cream for after. Okay, so I'm just going to measure that out real quick so we have it ready. So you really can't go wrong, right? Cream, butter, cheese, all the good stuff. So with the pasta, this is why you want to have tongs handy. You just want to give it a little gentle toss, okay? And make sure that it's not sticking, okay? But that's also why we have it, you know, rapidly boiling. Our other ingredient we're going to need is 3/4 of a cup of Parmesan cheese. So I have a block here of Parmigiano-Reggiano from the grocery store, right? And I'm going to grate that fresh. You can use the stuff in the jar. It's just not going to be as tasty, right? You're going to get much stronger flavor out of a real good Parmesan, okay? So I'm going to take and grate my cheese. And I'm using the big holes of the box grater, right? And I'm doing this right over a bowl so I don't make a giant mess everywhere. Maybe just a little mess. It's going to take quite a bit of cheese, okay? But that's what makes it so delicious. Like I said, so I'm going to need about 3/4 of a cup total. I'll have a little bit left over to grate on the top after. So I've got my 1 cup measure here. So I'm just going to go 3/4 cup, 3/4 full. Nice. Quite yet. My pasta's still cooking. It's boiling rapidly. It's only going to take a couple minutes. It's not going to be a long process. So this is a great weekday night meal, right? Kind of like a 15-minute or less meal. Half a cup there. Quick second, I'm just gonna check my pasta here on the stove. All right, you can see those noodles. You know, I want to keep them nice and firm, so that's plenty done at this point, right? I don't want to overcook that. You'll see here my heavy cream is bubbling. Okay, so now I'm doing this in a big saucepan, okay? And the reason for that is I want it to be able to evaporate out the water, right? Don't put it in a pan that's too small, because if heavy cream boils over at any point in time, it can catch the burner on fire, okay? Now I'm gonna come in and drain out my pasta. And I'm just gonna set it into a bowl until we're ready for the sauce. All right. Set that aside. I said, just try not to overcook it. So this is a little bit of multitasking. You could have this all set up beforehand in a few minutes time and just real quickly make your sauce. That's gonna give me my 3/4 of a cup of cheese. You'll see it's not quite full, but it's close. All right. So with the recipe, it tells you here, right, that you're going to take and add in your other half a cup of cream, salt, pepper, and like I said, a little bit of nutmeg to this, okay? So I'm only gonna do a pinch of salt because Parmesan cheese can be real salty. So I'm just gonna add in a little pinch of salt into my cream. I'm gonna add in the rest of my other half a cup of cream that I was saving. Now that this is reduced down and thickened up nicely. Right, that'll just help slow things down a little bit. And I'm gonna add in some butter, a couple tablespoons of butter. Now on your butter package, if you've never noticed before, there are little markers there for your measurements, okay? When you look at the side of it, right, it'll tell you tablespoons right on the side. So you just cut off 2 tablespoons, so 2 of those big lines, and you'll be good to go. Now about a 1/4 teaspoon black pepper. So I'm gonna use a pepper grinder, a couple of really good shakes. I like a lot of black pepper, so I give it a couple extra, right? Just wanna let this thicken. Now I'm saving that pasta water over here for a reason, right? That this sauce is really thick because of the cream and the way that it reduces, but it can also get too thick. So especially if you stop doing things and you know it's a few minutes before you eat supper, it might get too thick and gooey. So you can take and add in a little bit of pasta water just to loosen it up. So even if you're straining it, pouring it into a strainer, take out about a cup of water or half a cup, put to the side, and that way you'll have it for after. So it's hard to see for you guys here, but I'm gonna bring you closer, right? So you can see that cream reducing down and bubbling, okay? Extreme close-up shot. All right, so now I'm gonna add in my pasta noodles, right? My fettuccine. I'm gonna add in my cheese too, right? Like I said, this is a really, really quick dish. Just wanna make sure everything gets coated. So pouring the cheese right into the pan. Shot here. Right. This is where those tongs come in handy, right? I can see that the sauce is still a little bit too watery. That's okay, it's gonna reduce down for a minute. Now, I'm gonna add in a little bit of nutmeg, right? And this is the same thing that you would use if you were making something like a Swedish meatball, right? A lot of Eastern European foods. Just a little bit, you don't need a lot. Right, an 1/8 of a teaspoon. I'm just gonna give this a couple of shakes. You don't need much, right? Too big. Like I said, if you needed some of that pasta water, you could just take a little bit, right, and add some in, right? Just do a little bit at a time. You know, I just want to let things get really good and hot and bubbly, so just add in a little bit of pasta water. Now this will also have a lot of starch in the pasta water, which also helps give you a nice sauce to go with, right? We'll clean learning as you go. Bring you guys in closer again so you can see what's happening inside the pan, right? Okay, nice bubbling. That's what you want to see, nice and hot. Smells amazing. And this is definitely enough to easily feed a couple of people, right? Fresh pasta will hold packaged stuff like that in the fridge for a few weeks. You know, so buy it when it's on sale, right? And then you can have it for quick nighttime dinner, right? Like I said, 15 minutes or less, which is, you know, you guys gonna see here today. So I'm gonna show you how to plate it too. All right, but the last thing I wanna have, I shut the heat off on that, letting that sit for a minute, is I wanna have a little bit of color, right? Because it's all just cream, cheese things, right? Everything's white, okay? So hence why I'm gonna use a really colorful plate, right, to make it look pretty. But I'm also gonna use some fresh basil, right? So I picked this from my garden this morning. So I've got some lovely purple chef's basil and some fresh green sweet basil, right? So I'm gonna chop those up to go on top. And it's just gonna give me a really pretty color. I'll show you how to do that real quick. Plus it'll give it a little flavor. Plus, you know, makes it authentic Italian, right? If you get a little bit of basil happening. Okay, so I'm stacking my leaves up, right? It doesn't matter if you mix the colors or not. You just want to give them a little bit of a roll, right? Without the stems. And then I'm just going to slice through. So this is the leaf the long way, right? Kind of roll it up like a cigar. And I'm just going to do thin little slices. All right. And my basil there. Okay. Last couple pieces here. And I like mixing the two colors. Is a little fun. Now you can easily also serve Alfredo like this with meat, right? So you could do some leftover grilled chicken. Is perfect for this, right? You cook some chicken on the weekends. You got, you know, chicken breast or two left over. Take that and slice it up. Throw it in. You're heating up your cream sauce. Same thing with some cooked shrimp. A little bit of steamed broccoli. Steam the broccoli beforehand and throw that right in the pan, and you'll be all set, right? Because you don't want to have this cooking too long. Okay, so I'm gonna show you a little trick for plating, right? So we got a lovely little red plate here. I'm gonna bring in my pan of Alfredo. Look at that, right? So now, fettuccine, right? Big, long noodles. So when you set it down on the plate, right, with your tongs, give it a little twist. All right? You wonder why it looks so fancy when you go out to dinner, right? I said, you don't need to go out to dinner. You can do this at home, all by yourself, right? Give it a little twist. You get that nice little mound of pasta, little action happening there, right? Then I'm going to come in with my Parmesan cheese, right? A little bit on top. Also a little bit around the edge of the plate, right? Make it look good. And then finally, finish this off with my purple and green basil, right? A little bit on the sides. I said, you may not be able to go to the restaurant right now. You can definitely make this at home, right? Look at that. Okay, so restaurant style fettuccine Alfredo, less than 15 minutes. Okay, cream, butter, cheese, salt, pepper, nutmeg, your pasta. Like I said, you can finish off with a little fresh basil. You could put some grilled chicken on top, some shrimp, you know, fresh herbs that go good. Anything that's got Italian base to it, basil, oregano, thyme, things like that. If you've got that, throw that on there. A little bit of parsley even, right? Just to give it a little bit of color. But that is your fast and easy, right, restaurant style fettuccine Alfredo. Okay, enjoy.